Hello everybody, this is Age of StarCraft, once again bringing out a video commentary for my YouTube channel. And today of course I have a very special treat for you guys. It is my return after my over 1 month hiatus, I believe. I have a lot of things that I need to talk to you guys about, but before I do, please let me introduce the players. Empty over here, spawning on the left side as the Red Terran or Metalopolis, and his opponent Hunt, a Blue Protoss, spawning on the right side of Metalopolis. As you can see over here in the minimap, this is cross positions, so both players probably going to prepare themselves for a macro game. And just so you know, this game is actually before the most recent patch. I believe it is after 1.1.1, if there was one. I think it was just 1.1. So just want to let you guys know that a lot of the changes are still not in effect from the recent patches, just in case you're wondering. And nothing crazy going on. No proxy barracks by the Terran player, and also nothing funky by the Protoss player. Obviously a little bit hard on a map like Metalopolis. You can't just blind rush your opponent. But as we follow this pro, let me tell you a little bit about what's going on, so you know why I was away for over a month. The first week I had problems with AT&T. I had switched from Comcast to AT&T, and they were being very bad about the service. So I was able to get that fixed after the first week, but the second week I had a lot of things backed up that I had to take care of that I couldn't take care of because I had no internet for a whole week. So that was 2 weeks that I was unavailable. The third week after that, I honestly had not been playing StarCraft for a while, so I was really out of the funk. I was not able to really catch up or do anything in terms of play ladder or things like that, and I was just very far behind, and I was a little bit disappointed in myself because I had some other personal issues going on as well. But the main thing was that in terms of StarCraft, my gameplay level had gone down. And there's actually more I want to talk about later on. So after that 1 week, it just kind of spiraled down from there. I lost a little bit of interest in StarCraft for a little bit, but then there had a lot of tournaments going on. We had the GSL 1 going on. Then there was the Intel Masters Extreme, followed by the MLG, and I think the MLG was before the GSL as well. So that was 2 MLGs, 1 GSL, 1 IEM, and then GSL started last week, I believe, or the week prior to that. So it's been tournament after tournament, and I've just been getting so much StarCraft just out of watching the pros play that I didn't really have what it took to keep on casting games and playing myself. So I just want to let you guys know I am back, and I've actually just started a new job. I haven't started yet, but I will be starting fairly soon, which means that I will not be able to cast as often as I used to, but I definitely want to still cast a couple of times a week. And as you can see from the tone of my voice, as you can hear, I'm trying a couple of different things. I'm very impressed by some of the casting done at the MLG and GSL, specifically Day 9, Artosis, and Tasteless. And I'm trying to see if I can try some of their styles, take down a little bit, take down the notches a little bit from the Husky HD commentating style, where you're yelling at the top of your lungs. Not that I think there's anything wrong with that. Definitely can be very exciting sometimes. But I do want to become a little bit more professional, or I wouldn't say more professional, but I just want to be a little bit more serious, I suppose, when commentating. Because that's one complaint I see other people do, is that, oh, you know, the caster is not saying anything of value. So with all that yapping, let me stop and start saying things of value, because we're going to get this game started. This game has gone well underway, although as you can see, both players here going for a very macro-oriented game. Excuse me 1 second. Like I said, it's very difficult in cross positions over here in Metalopolis and 4-player maps to really do any kind of aggressive builds, because you'd be blinding yourself. Like, you'd have to go blind into it, and then you don't know what your opponent is up to, and it could turn fairly disastrous if you don't execute something properly. So just to talk about Hunt over here, he has 3 gateways. He started with 2 gateways into a robotics facility, making an observer, so you can go ahead and scout his opponent. And his opponent's actually very aggressive right now. This is a very aggressive build. He is going Marine tanks, and is he getting Siege tank? Yes, he is, and even putting a Hellion here. Although it looks like he has supply blocked himself, but he is almost not supply blocked. There you go. and even making a medevac, which this could potentially be used to draw the Protoss units away with a Hellion. Drop a Hellion over here, maybe over here, draw these units away, and then push up the front and start taking pylons, gateways, and other things. So Hunt, going a little bit aggressive here, he probably should have expanded before getting this third gateway, but the ladder in the North American server is very, very aggressive, guys. A lot of people do all-ins, a lot of people just jump right in, and doesn't really give you a chance to play those heavy long macro games, like for example Idris style, but it doesn't look like oh whoa, select the statue over there, doesn't look like this Hellion's going to be dropped, just going to try to sneak in here. I gotta say this was probably a bad decision, didn't really do anything, wasted a Hellion and then had to scan just to see what was going on. Putting all these units on the ramp, good idea, although Hunt should probably want to move the Zealots to the front in case he does get pushed. They are doing the damage that they can and not getting stuck behind his talkers. So some things that we could see from both players over here. We've seen a 1-1-1 so far from MT, and there we go. A bunch of Marines getting loaded into a medevac. It looks like a third medevac's gonna come over here and make a couple of tanks. Lift a couple of tanks. And more Marines coming down here, but the key thing is that Hunt sees this, so he has prepared himself. He's moving his observer, which I'm not really sure why. Although it looks like MT has just feigned, he just saw that observer moving around, which you can still kind of see the cloak, even if it's cloaked, you can still kind of see it moving around. Let me see, right there, I don't know if you can see that over the YouTube quality, but if you're watching this in HD, you probably saw some squiggle going down there. And as you can see, Hunt has positioned his units over here, even brought a probe along for the fight. Although getting supply blocked, not a great thing, but there you go, just unsupply blocked himself. Using another scan and going for gateway. Now this, guys, I have to say, is very typical of the American server, North American server. Not the playstyle I would recommend you to pick up, because this is very all-in-ish. You will not have enough to produce out of 4 gateways and a robotics facility off of 1 base. Normally want to go 2 or 1, because theoretically you can, and while going for a high Templar archive over here, which is even more aggressive, I think, because there is a certain limit of saturation to your mineral patch over here. So once you reach that limit, like, you will barely be able to produce out of all these buildings and then not be able to expand. And your opponent could be expanding. For example, here we see MT going ahead and expanding, which is basically what I'm saying. If he gets pushed, he has enough to stop just about any push from the Protoss player right now, at least to his knowledge, because he's scanned this army several times, and he's going to have an advantage in the economy right now. And if Hunt does not expand fairly soon, he's going to be very, very behind. In fact, he's already behind just by the nature of the command center already being completed and having enough energy for mules. So whether they're going to be used for mules or scans remains to be seen, although a couple of mules just dropped down. Always a good idea to leave some extra energy in case you need to scan at last minute, but you don't want to let it pull upwards of 200. Or if you suspect your opponent going with cloaked units, definitely want to make sure that you are using those scans instead of just excuse me, sorry, I got distracted by the mortal portrait here. I just noticed that when you have it on 3D, it's actually different than when you have it on 2D, so it threw me off a little bit over there. But what was I saying is, yes, you don't want to let the energy pool too high, because mules are a backbone of the Terran economy. And actually scanning himself through, I'm guessing he saw one of those observers going on here, and Hunt, I don't know if this is a smart idea. There are a lot of Marines there, there are enough medevacs to heal them all, several siege tanks shelling over here, the stalkers, the immortals, and everything. And the real danger is that these Marines take down the hardened shields of the immortals, and then once those shields are gone, the tanks can pretty much just obliterate any of the forces. This barracks here floating on down there, not quite sure why, probably just to block the unit selection for Hunt, not allow him to really be able to micro at all, and this is what I'm saying. MT here playing a very defensive thing, defensive position, which is what most turns are able to do. And the problem here is that if we take a look at the army tab, look at Hunt. Hunt has 53 supply now, and Empty, without really doing anything, he's is ahead now. All he did was defend his push, lost a couple Marines, which are really cheap, and also falling a little bit behind the macro. It's a little bit difficult at this stage of the game. And Hunt, on the other hand, he's pressed for minerals, he's behind in supply, and he's not really able to produce out of all these buildings. You see here only producing 2 zealots, and getting the Kaidaran Amulet researched. It looks like Storm has already been researched as well, which is definitely going to be very strong against these Marines, and also against the Raven if he uses feedback, excuse me, and possibly the tanks, although sending High Templar into tank lines, siege tank lines, not the best option. Maybe if you can manage to drop them, but even then it's very risky. So it's a good option, but he probably should be looking to expand again, although he might be afraid, Hunt might be afraid here that his opponent is going to push because he knows that he lost a lot in that one battle, in that one confrontation. So Empty here, sending 1 Marine. This is actually a very smart idea, just 50 minerals, very disposable unit, checking out what's going on here in the base, using stim so that he can kite everything. And this is the key thing, he wants to make sure that there's no third, because the best option for Protest right now, for Hunt, to catch up with his opponent would be to fast expand here, and possibly, not fast expand there, and possibly even expand here, which is what this Marine is looking for. He's looking for that expansion, which he should have done. I mean, you're trying to catch up from playing behind, and when you are behind like this, you have to do something wacky and extraordinary to catch up, whether it be crazy micro, great unit composition, catching your opponent off guard, breaking defenses, or expanding like crazy. And one of the options would be expanding